Shaq is a legendary basketball player. Born in Newark, New Jersey, and raised in a military household, after a standout college career at LSU, he was drafted first overall in 1992 by the Orlando Magic. In 1996, he signed with the LA Lakers, where he became a full-blown NBA superstar.
Literally none bigger, though, than the coast-to-coast move and change of address made by Shaquille O'Neal. And CNN's Brent Weber has the story about what it took to land him.
In every way, Shaquille O'Neal was the biggest free agent acquisition in NBA history. A 7-year contract to come play in Hollywood. And with it, $120 million of pressure, the likes of which Shaq has never seen.
And during his time with the Lakers, Shaq became one of the most dominant players in NBA history. He won 3 straight championships from 2000 to 2002, earned multiple All-Star selections, and was named as an NBA Finals MVP 3 times. And off the court, his charisma and marketability turned him into more than just an athlete. He became a global brand. He landed endorsement deals with companies like Pepsi, Reebok, and Icy Hot, starred in movies and commercials, and built a massive business portfolio.
I'm interested in the Shaq up here. I'm looking for the Shaq right in here.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Shaquille O'Neal. Shaq.
Who's the big man that slams the world with just one hand? You damn.
At his peak, Shaq wasn't just an NBA superstar, he was one of the most recognizable faces in the world, and he still is to this day considered an A-list celebrity despite retiring in 2011. He reportedly earned $286 million during his playing career, and today has a net worth rumored to be as much as $500 million. Unfortunately, his enormous riches made Shaq a huge target of gangs operating in Los Angeles. When the criminal complaint about accused Rolling 60s leader Big U dropped in 2025, there were bombshell allegations about Big U having extensively extorted celebrities and NBA players, with one particular allegation that he was also embezzling donations made to his charity Developing Options from former NBA MVPs. It was rumored that Shaquille O'Neal was one of these people, but things would apparently go much, much deeper, as not only was Big U soliciting donations from Shaq, but also calling in favors, with Shaq actually appearing on Big U's short-lived and unwisely titled Checkin' In podcast. Shaq played it incredibly cool through this interview, but it was clear that he knew Big U's street reputation. Big U would actually explain Shaq donating money to his organization in the interview, strategically pausing and making sure that he watched his words as he spoke, with Shaq saying that he felt he needed to do this to fit in with LA street politics. People in the comments claimed that Shaq must have had guns pointed at him off camera during this interview, and others came back to watch the video after finding out the details from the indictment, saying that watching this now is crazy work after hearing that Big U was attempting to extort Shaq. Another suggested that Shaq might have been used to directly fund the criminal enterprise. However, Shaq's Big U connection was allegedly only the tip of the iceberg when it came to being pressured by LA's gangs. One story circulated that Shaq had actually had a serious problem with the LA Crip gangs. During a time when he was making music in the 2000s, Shaq had seemingly made ties to LA gang, the Main Street Mafia Crips, and he would even seemingly shout them out and their affiliates in his 2006 track, Can't Stop the Rain. A video on the War in Cali channel on YouTube broke down the whole story, suggesting that after robbery attempts, Shaq aligned himself with the Main Street Crips for protection.
Shaq would be involved with some heavy gang members, and ended up making some connections in the LA streets, some being with South Central gang members from the Main Street Crips. The Main Street Crips were a gang known for being involved in all aspects of bringing in money, from being big-time drug dealers, owning businesses, and being involved in the entertainment industry. Shaq would build a connection with several Main Street Crips as they offered protection for him being in LA, as he was previously robbed before.
However, Shaq would end up getting into a beef with a Main Street Crip affiliate called Stutterbox over money, an incident covered in detail by YouTuber Kip Kame, who explained that Shaq had met Robert Ross, aka Stutterbox, at a party, and that Stutterbox had helped Shaq find new artists for a commission.
Enter Robert Ross, aka Stutterbox, due to his penchant for stuttering when he gets nervous or excited. He met Shaquille O'Neal at a party in LA in around 2003, and they became good friends. Stutterbox happened to know a lot of people around the music scene in LA. Shaq's new label, looking for new artists, commissioned Stutterbox to go and find new people for him, and he followed through, plus interest it seems.
Stutterbox discovered and brought Ray J to Shaq's record label and promised royalties, but Shaq's label partner only paid him a $20,000 finder's fee.
2007, Ross formed a relationship with his neighbor Ray J, and was able to bring him onto Shaq and Mark Stevens' label, with the help of Death Row affiliate Cash Jones, aka Whack 100. Robert Ross and Mark Stevens agreed that Ross would make a percentage of royalties based off of whatever music that Ray J and the label put out together. But when they met in New York a few weeks later to finalize the deal, Mark Stevens balked. He gave Ross a $20,000 finder's fee and refused to pay him any royalties.
Then, Stutterbox advised Ray J not to miss out on the opportunity and sign the deal. Ray J's project topped the Billboard charts, made a lot of money, and Stutterbox tried to get the money he felt he was owed from Shaq.
So Stutterbox tells Ray J sign the deal, and
If I get my money out of these guys, how I get my money out of them.
The project ended up being a commercial success, topping the charts of Billboard Hip Hop and R&B. The main single was Sexy Can I, which actually had Shaq in the background of the music video.
Is it true that Shaq invested in your music career?
Yeah, he gave us, I think, 1.5 million for Sexy Can I.
Wow.
Money Mark, Whack 100, we had another partner, and then Shaq. And we recouped the number back for Shaq in, I don't know, 5 months, 6 months. And everything else has been profitable since.
All the while, Stutterbox was still trying to get his money back. After weeks of constantly requesting money from Mark and Shaq, there was no budging from either guy.
Stutterbox would then allegedly come up with a plan to shake down Shaq and his label partner.
Robert Ross come up with a conspiracy to blackmail and extort Shaquille O'Neal and Mark Stevens for the money that Robert Ross felt he was owed for putting together the Ray J deal.
The plan involved an alleged recording of Shaq caught on security camera cheating on his wife at one of Stutterbox's parties. Further complicating the situation, Shaq would hire a private investigator to follow his wife, only to discover that Stutterbox was sleeping with her. Now, Stutterbox alleged that Shaq, fearful of his tape becoming public and jealous of Stutterbox's affair with his wife, got help from other Main Street Mafia Crips, who forcibly kidnapped him and drove him to the house of a Main Street Mafia Crip shot caller called Del Dog, where they demanded tape, beat him, and robbed him. When interviewed by police, Shaq denied any involvement, telling police that even if there had been a tape, he wouldn't care about it being made public since he and his wife were getting divorced. Shaq then told the police that he met Main Street Crip gang members during a toy donation but didn't have a personal relationship with them, a statement that he would later contradict on Big U's podcast in 2021. Shaq would say that he severed ties with Stutterbox a year before due to his criminal history. While investigators did obtain phone records showcasing a flurry of calls between Shaq's label partners and Main Street Crip shot caller Del Dog's phone, in the end, the case against Shaq was dismissed and he was able to walk away from the streets of LA, while the Main Street Mafia Crip shot caller that allegedly assisted with the kidnapping Del Dog would be shot and killed during an argument in 2015. Reggie Wright actually claimed during one interview that these gang-related incidents and others actually ended up running Shaq out of Los Angeles.
If they would have been found guilty, they was eventually going to go after Shaq. And so that's why Shaq. That, plus he had got robbed before out there. He was just tired of LA.
However, not every celebrity gets themselves extorted, as some have grown to be exactly the kind of gangsters and bullies as the ones that are trying to take advantage of them. And perhaps no one is a better example of this than the rapper/business mogul 50 Cent.